Hello musicians, welcome back. My name is Bucky Dirtle, and today I'm doing a video tutorial on Palm Loop, which is this module right here. This Palm Loop is part of the VCV Rack DAW, and the VCV Rack DAW has many modules. As you can see, we have a few here, and I do tutorials on all kinds of modules in here. This tutorial today is a foundation level tutorial, which means that it's for beginners. So the concepts we are covering are straightforward, not difficult for any learner to tackle. So this is a foundational level tutorial. So Palm Loop is the guy we're going to be but doing a tutorial on. And we're going to cover all the aspects of this module and what it does and what it can do for you in your music making. So let's get started. First of all, Palm Loop is a VCO, a voltage controlled oscillator. Voltage control oscillator. Now, what a voltage control oscillator does is it produces sound that is represented by voltages. So in, let's say, ancient times, in years gone past, and even today, we have some modules, hardware modules, that can produce sound through voltage. And this is a virtual control voltage, virtual voltage environment. This is what VCV Rack does. So it's emulating what some of these old modules would have done or still do today, where they create sound through voltage. Well, this is emulating that. So that's what we have here. Now, this guy here is a sound producer. Some of our other modules are things that control sound. Like you can analyze things with scopes like this guy here, an analyzer right here, which we're going to use. And we can also control things with mixers. These are all modules. This guy is a sound producer, an oscillator. So it will make sound waves for us. Now, Palm Loop, while being a simple oscillator, it also, it likes to do frequency modulation. So it's the FM, right here on our module, right here and right here. So it really likes frequency modulation. So you may want to use this. Module to do some frequency modulation. We're going to talk a little bit about that as we go through the tutorial. So let's get started with some of the geography that we see here. Some of the things we're seeing on the screen here. And again, this is a foundational level tutorial, so this is for beginners. Okay, first of all, let's go through my setup. This module here is my setup for my sound system here in my computer. I am I'm running. I have a specific Apple out that I'm using for my recording here, but you can choose different things. I have an Mbox Pro hooked up here as well, which I'm recording my microphone with, and there's other things as well that you can use, and you can customize that to your own computer. So that's the audio interface right here. Now the next one I have is mixer. Mixer is a simple audio mixer, and we have sliders that control this. And this is a fundamentals mixer, so you can find it as part of the fundamental module pack. And actually, this is the core module pack. So that's that. Now I have Palm Loop right here, and we will be connecting this into our mixer to make sound. I'm sorry for that noise all of a sudden. I'll turn my volume down a little bit. But we connected in here to make our sound for us. Now, I also have scope. And let me just show you what scope does. Now, when you look at my other tutorials, you'll notice I use scope a lot. I love scope. It does a lot of really cool things. It lets us analyze our sound in a visual way, so we can see what the sound looks like. And I also have this guy here, which is Analyzer by Bog Audio. Scope is part of the fundamentals pack, which is the same as this guy, VCV fundamentals. We have Analyzer, which is a frequency analyzer. Now, so that's that. Now let's start talking about the module itself. First of all, how to make it work. I said to you that I have my mixer here. Now my mixer is the output of my mixer right here is connected to channel 1 and 2, which is left and right of my audio interface. So that's pretty standard. Now I have an input 1 right here, and I can connect this module into my input 1. But when I connect the module, well, where do I connect it? Well, I have several different waveforms that I can choose from here. I have saw, and I have a sine wave. And you'll see that I have a square, a triangle, and a sine wave here. Okay, let's try connecting these up and see what they sound like. I'll turn my volume down a little so it's not too loud. Okay, that's our saw wave. If I connect my sine wave, I get a sine wave. Go down here, you'll hear a square wave. Sounds a little different though. And there we go, that's our triangle, and that's a sine wave again. But look at these sine waves. That guy's an octave lower than that guy. So the upper two are an octave higher than the lower three. Okay? Now you'll see why that is a little later, but that's what it is. So we have a saw, we have a sine wave, and these are in the upper range, and we have three waveforms that are an octave lower. Okay, and you saw how I connected it up. I just dragged over and dropped a patch cable. And there you go. It's a piece of cake. Easy to do that. Okay, so now that I'll leave that sine wave running here. I'll turn up a little bit. I have on top octave. And as I rotate that octave, it, of course, moves it around. It gives me my octaves. And I go from very, very, very low to very, very, very high. Okay, so that's my octave changes. Now I can also change, here see I'm changing this within the octave. I can change my course. So that's, semitones. And then we have our fine, which is a fine tuning. This goes between semitones. So if you want to fine tune it that way, that's how you do it. Your microtonal things. Okay, so that's how you change the pitches. Okay, now I'm going to show you another thing too. We also have this guy here, which I'm going to show you because we were talking about changing our pitches. I'm going to bring in our LFO, and LFO is a module that can also control our pitch. So I'll bring that guy in. I'll connect it right here. And you can hear it's really changing our pitch a lot, So you can hear it's changing our LFO is a low frequency oscillator. It oscillates up and down like the waveform oscillates up and down, just like a VCO, which is what this guy is. So our sound waves go up and down, but a low frequency oscillator is so slow that we can use that slow oscillating waveform to control things. And one of the things we can control is pitch. So right here I did voltage. This is the voltage per octave input. So I connected that. So voltage per octave, I connected to one of the waveforms on the LFO. Now, I don't want to get in too much into what the LFO does and what we're doing here with this, but I did want to show you that you can control the pitch by using a control voltage here. So we can do that. And if I turn my volume up again, you can hear it. You're moving around. Yes, you can hear that. Okay, so I'm going to disconnect that, and I'm going to delete this LFO because we don't need that anymore for this tutorial. So there you go. So far we've talked about our octaves, we talked about the coarse and the fine tuning, and we talked about our voltage per octave input right here, which can go to an LFO. Now, and we've also talked about our waveforms. Now, one of the things that this VCO is designed for, it's designed for doing frequency modulations. Now, frequency modulation is a way to synthesize sounds. I'm going to duplicate this module. I'm going to make another module just like it. Now, the way you do that is you right-click on the module itself, and you see you're given a bunch of different options here. I'm going to go duplicate right here, or Command D. There you go. Now I've got another exact copy of the first one. So now what I can do is I can use what's called frequency modulation. Now, frequency modulation is, I've talked about it a lot in another tutorial. In another tutorial, when I talked a lot about frequency modulation, I use another module, which I'm going to bring up and show you very quickly, called Dexter. And this is Dexter right here. This is another module. It's in a VCO. It's a very complicated one. And you have all kinds of operators, which are VCOs, and wavetable operators and all kinds of things, but this also does FM synthesis. Now, I did a series of tutorials on this, and I'm still working on more of these on this module. So you can refer to this module for some talk further about frequency modulation, but I'm going to delete that one now because we're not going to talk about it today. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. There's lots to learn in here. Now, let me zoom back in again a little. Now, when we have a sound wave, like I'll keep this this sine wave. You can hear it. That's our sine wave right there. It's a plain, simple sine wave. No big deal. But you might say, yeah, Bucky, a sine wave, that's pretty boring. I want to make my own sound. I want to have something else that's going to be a unique sound, a custom sound that nobody else has. I want to make my own signature sounds. Okay, that's great. That's just what we want to do. So what we can do is we can use this first guy to alter the sound of the sine wave from the second guy. So this VCO here, palm loop, will alter the sound, what's coming out of the second palm loop. So let's just try it. I'll bring a saw wave in, and I'm going to go into linear FM. And now nothing happened, right? Nothing happened. Well, that's because we have a tenuverter right here, which we can alter. You see, it's changed the sound as I rotate it upwards. You can hear the sound changing. And if I go down below the 0 point, it also changes. Now, an attenuverter, by the way, will boost a signal or allow signal through in the positive and in the negative. So this way would be positive, and the other way is negative, okay? But that's the 0 mark here. Straight up and down is a 0 mark. But so this is an attenuverter, and we have another one right here as well, but we don't have that one operating. So we can, depending on how much we adjust our attenuverter, we're going to get different sounds. Now, at this point, I'm going to zoom back a little, and I'm going to connect our output of our attenuverter, of our sine wave, to our two scopes, so we can see what's happening here. Now, I'm going to reset this to 0, and we have our regular sine wave, nothing to it. But when I boost up the attenuverter, you can see the wave changing. See on scope, you can see the wave changing. Because what we're doing is, we are using this saw wave here to alter how the creation of the sine wave. It's frequency modulation. So let's move it up a little bit again. And you hear things start to get out of control. The more you go up, it gets pretty crazy. Now you may want that. Oops, sorry about that. You may want that really out of control sound, and maybe you don't. But you can change it to your own taste. And you also noticed on analyzer here, these are frequencies. So this is the fundamental frequency right here. Okay, this is their main note. And then these are overtones or harmonics. And you can see as we increase this, our wave shape changes on scope, and we have more harmonics coming down through. Now, oops, sorry, my mouse clicks are going out of control here. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this down for a second. Now, one of the things that this module has that caught my attention, one of the reasons why I chose to do it, is because it has some anti-aliasing techniques in here. And I'm not going to get into anti-aliasing, but anti-aliasing, it will help your sound sound more pure, especially in the higher registers, okay, especially in the higher frequencies. Now, this uses polybleep and polyblam anti-aliasing. You can read up on those, and I'll put some links to some information in the post so you can read up yourself about it. But it uses polybleep and polyblam anti-aliasing. So that's something to think about as you compare sounds with other sound modules. You may find that this one may have more pleasing sound. Who knows? You have to decide that for yourself. Okay, let's go back to the sound. Right now I have a sine wave on my on this module, and it's being manipulated, it's being modulated by a saw wave on the first module. So let's go back, turn up our volume a little. Let's put up a little bit on our attenuverter. And that might be a sound you like. Let's try it if I modulate it with another sine wave. You can see it's what it's doing on scope down there. It's making some changes to it. If I go in the negative, it also makes some changes, but it's you can see what you prefer. Now, that's pretty cool. Let's change our main sound to sine wave, a saw wave. Okay, now that's the pure sine. That's the saw wave with no changes to it. It's just a saw wave. And now, if I raise my attenuverter, yeah, you see it changed pretty dramatically. And that may not be something you could use. Maybe it is. Who knows? Depends on your music. Let's try modulating, and instead with a sine wave, let's modulate it with another saw. Again, it's pretty dramatic. Okay, so I'm going to turn this down again. So far what we've been doing is I've been modulating with these two upper octave waveforms. Now, lower octave waveforms. Let's try some of these. I'm going to now modulate that saw wave with a square wave, which is an octave lower. Let's try that. Oops, I forgot my volume. Now, that may be something that's useful right there. You see, you can get some really interesting sounds. Let's try with a triangle wave. Pretty cool, and with the sine wave. Yeah, pretty cool. And you might get exactly the sound you want with that. And there's subtleties here too. You may find some things are very, very subtle, and they will do exactly what you want, but it's small changes. Okay, so, and again, if I was to change this over to my my sine wave and do the same thing, you know, I'm getting some really interesting things here. So that may be something you like. We'll try with the triangle again. And with the sine wave. So anyway, there's a lot of possibilities. Okay, so that's the modulation using just combining these. Now let's talk about frequency. So right now, the sine wave I have is in one octave, and the sine wave I have in the bottom, actually go to square wave. The square wave I have in the bottom is an octave lower, so I'm modulating with a wave that is an octave lower than the main wave. Okay, so what happens if we turn up a little and we alter the tuning a little? Let's try the fine tuning on the modulation wave. You hear the beats? Let's try coarse. Now you're getting some cool things. You may want to modulate it with a note that's a fifth below or a fourth below. But depending on the pitch that you modulate it with, you're going to get different effects. Okay, and then you can actually try like another octave. Like this is 2 octaves below now. 3 octaves below. So now you're modulating with a note that's 3 octaves lower than the main note. And if I try some pretty cool stuff here. Now, like, pretty cool stuff. Okay, so you can see that we can get some really interesting results. And if we go up, let's go up an octave. Let's go up a couple octaves here. And now try it. You probably heard that in Star Trek. So you can get some really interesting effects here by playing with some of these settings. Okay, so I've talked about linear FM. I haven't talked about exponential. And now you're going to say, Bucky, wait a second. Linear FM, exponential FM, what are you talking about? Okay, if we think about a linear graph, and I'll show you a linear graph in our posting. A linear graph is a straight line. So the changes that happen in my frequency modulation happen in a linear fashion. Okay, an exponential graph, of course, has a dramatic upswing because it's an exponential. So this changes differently. So the mathematics that's behind the exponential FM controller here gives us a different result. So you can hear you actually get a different result than you would if you were over on linear. And let's try exponential again. You see, so you get different results by using either of these. Okay, so you have some options there. Now, if you want to get really crazy, let's do this. Go to this one and duplicate again. Now, what you have is you have 3 VCOs. This is the main one. The second one is modulating it based on a 1 octave down triangle wave through exponential. Let's try 2 octaves up sine wave. We'll modulate this guy. So now if I turn up my modulation here, oh, sorry, wrong one. If I turn up my modulation here. Okay, now let's do this one. So now I'm modulating the sound through this one. So now we have 3 of these modules are interacting with one another. So this guy is modulating this guy is modulating this guy, and we're outputting it to our sound source. Isn't that crazy? Now, you can do that with 5 modules, 10 modules, whatever you want to do. It can get pretty complicated, but you have a lot of options here. And there's some amazing sounds you can get with this. So I invite you to play with it, and then you can do some tuning, play with some tuning to get some gamelan vibrations going on. So there's lots of cool things you can do with this. It's really exciting. Oops, sorry about the movement here, guys. My mouse is going a little crazy. So there's lots of exciting things you can do with this. So there you go. That basically is Palm Loop. Now again, this is a foundational level tutorial. So this is for beginners, but you can see even as a beginner, there's a lot of really cool things that you can see and you can play with in here with the entry level VCOs. Very, very exciting. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this today. If you have any questions about this module or any other module you see here, make sure that you let me know, and I'll be sure to answer any questions. You can put them in the comments section below, or you can get me on the utopian.io Discord. I'll have links to all that in the post. Also, this setup you see here, I am going to save this, and I'll put it on my GitHub repository, so you can download this exact setup and set it up on your own system, so you can start playing with it yourself. So there you go. If you have any music you want to share with me, be sure to contact me in the comments below or on the Discord, and let me know. I'd like to hear some of your music, especially music you've used Palm Loop to create. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see all of you next time.